It's Rocky Marks, and it's RoadHogs, brought to you by Hot Metal Harley-Davidson, Ryder Insurance, and attorney Edgar Snyder Associates. On the phone from attorney Edgar Snyder Associates, the man, the myth, the legend, it's Edgar Snyder. How you doing today?
Couldn't be better.
You know what? I could. You know why?
You're working. I'm just on the show.
Yeah, that is true, but guess what I got this week? I got jury duty.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do.
Well, I don't think you're going to be, I can assure you that I don't think you're going to be sitting on any cases that involve motorcycles.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much, that'll get me out of it, huh?
I think when you tell them what you do and who you are, I think that if the case that's involving that, I think that you will be stricken for cause, and I think that would be a good decision on the part of the lawyer that represents the insurance company.
You know, that is a good question, and it's off topic, but why not? What do you expect? A lot of people are afraid when they're chosen for jury duty. I mean, what should I be prepared for besides sitting there all day long?
Well, first of all, one of the questions, Rocky, is whether I'm not sure whether you're going to have civil jury duty or criminal jury duty. Do you know?
I have no idea. All I know is I'm supposed to call the night before.
Okay. Assuming that you're in civil, okay, then you're talking about the potential of, certainly you could get, it's not only cases that involve accidents. I mean, there's all kinds of cases that end up in court and end up before juries. But if it's a criminal case, now you're talking about a case that's being prosecuted by the Commonwealth where somebody has been accused of a crime. So the first issue, of course, is whether it's civil cases or whether it's criminal cases. Most people that get chosen for jury duty that have never been chosen on a jury before, they get very nervous about being involved in criminal cases. That makes people squeamish that they're going to have to sit in judgment of other people.
Yeah, of course it does. I mean, you got this person's, I don't know, their life. I mean, depending on how severe it is. I mean, a portion of their life is either going to be spent in prison or not in prison, depending on where the verdict is, or, or even worse, there may be another penalty that's very severe. So, I mean, you have this person's life in your hands.
You literally have the life in the hands. I think hopefully for you, it will be a civil case, and that you will have an opportunity. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same type of pressures on people, but it's very, very interesting. I've never been on a jury. Would like to be. Tried those cases, but never sat on a jury.
You know what? And people are asking me, "Were you going to try and get out?" I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not going to try and get out. I mean, I spent my better years of my my middle school life learning about the judicial system. On a middle school level, I want to be part of this. I want to see how things work. I want to be like LA. I want to be like LA Law. Remember that from the 80s?
Not only do I remember, I think his name was Corbin Berenson.
Yes, it was.
He was the good-looking guy. In fact, I saw something recent. I don't know whether he passed away or not. I mean, he may have passed away. I'm not sure. But I always remember, those were my earlier years as a lawyer, and I always remember remarking to people, you know what? What I do can't be wrapped up in 1 hour.
No, it takes a lot longer than that.
Stories were always great, but you always knew in L.A. law that at the end of the hour, the problem would be resolved one way or the other. And unfortunately, in the work that we do, it doesn't get resolved in an hour, sometimes not in a year, sometimes not in a few years. But I really enjoyed that program when it was on. I thought it was one of the best lawyer programs.
I know. My mom told me I should have been a lawyer, and she made me watch it. And I liked it. I enjoyed it, but I ended up being a DJ and working a motorcycle shop. But she's still proud of me either way.
I think you were wise, Rocky. Seriously. I mean, I like being a lawyer, but I'd much rather do what you do, and I'd much rather be out there riding motorcycles and dealing with that. So maybe you and I will trade places sometime soon.
All right, sounds like a plan to me. So let's talk about motorcycles since we're there. What are some of the common accident scenarios that you see out there? Last week we talked about, some of the people with the prejudices about, you're a motorcyclist, so you're at fault. We talked about the legs being the common injuries last week. What are the scenarios that you see most often here in the state of Pennsylvania?
Well, to me, the cases that we see the most is either you're driving along and somebody on your right, an automobile, pulls out doesn't see you. And I know I heard Michael talk about it, and it's absolutely true. People don't see all of the time what is so obvious and that they should see. We get a lot of cases where people pull out, and they're very difficult. They're difficult cases because you know that somebody pulled out and didn't see you, and you had to either swerve. But unless you've got witnesses there, those are very difficult cases because it's not always the person very often doesn't tell the truth, or their perception is incorrect. They say, I had room to pull out, I had my turn signal on, and all of a sudden the motorcyclist was pulling up. We see those cases of people pulling out. We also see cases pulling up where you're at an intersection, you stop and you go, and the other person just doesn't see you, and you get involved in these type of intersection accidents. We get a lot of cases, once again, where people are pulling out of parking spaces or pulling out. They have time, and it's so common for people to claim that are involved in the automobile that they didn't see the person, that the person wasn't there. Of course they're there. Of course they should be seen. But these are very common type scenarios that we see. Another very common type is where you get on construction. There's so much construction that goes on in western Pennsylvania. And you get on gravel, and you get on these things, and it's soft gravel, and you have to make a sudden stop or an emergency, and something goes down. We have cases all the time against construction companies who are doing things improper. And as I've said before on your program, we don't get the small, insignificant injury. We get very bad injuries. But those are some of the common ones that we see, Rocky.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. And we'll have you on again maybe next week. If not, we're going to have Mike on next week. We have a lot going on. I mean, summer is just getting started. Bike nights are starting to happen. And speaking of which, I understand that you're coming to
Well,
Bike
I'm
Night.
looking forward to. I know I have all the dates in here. I'm looking forward to going out there and meeting everybody. I really am.
On Tuesday, I'm very nervous. I don't know why, but, the thing I'm very nervous about is how I look. And on being on the radio, you don't have to be concerned with how you look. But we got something coming up on Tuesday, and I've been stressing about it all month. I've been running. I've been trying to lose a couple pounds. Do you know what that might be on Tuesday?
You're talking about No Feet TV.
I'm talking about No Feet TV.
No Feet TV. Well, first of all, our moderator, the person that handles the show professionally for us, is Shelley Duffy. And
yes.
Shelley, of course, is a radio person. And I always remember, Rocky, on the very first show, she said, all of a sudden, I had to be concerned with what I look like. When I'm on the radio, I can look like hell, and nobody is really going to know what I look like or what I come in. And I remember saying to her, well, you're pretty. You have a pretty face. You ought to be on television more often. So, Rocky, maybe people will say that about you. What do you think?
I doubt it. Edgar, I used to work with Shelley back in the 90s on V94, and I worked the overnight shift. So that means when she came in for the morning show, I would see her first thing in the morning. She's pretty, but yeah, she definitely the makeup works well for her. No. She's a beautiful lady, and
she is a beautiful lady. But when you're on radio all the time, you really all of a sudden. So when you say that you have a little apprehension, I understand it, and we've had a great time with this No Feet TV. It was worked up by our marketing department. We get so many questions that come in from the internet, that come in, that people call us, that we said, why don't we do a show? And it's on PCNC. Why don't we do a show called No Feet TV and give viewers a chance to call, pick up all kinds of subjects that are very interesting, including, obviously, with you, which will deal with motorcycles and the issues, some of them that we've spoken about on other shows. And it's a half-hour program. It's on every Tuesday night. I think it's great that you're going to be on the show, and I think that you'll see that once you get before a camera, and people say to me, well, that's very easy for you to say, Edgar. You've been now doing commercials. I said, well, after 850 commercials and being on television for the last 25 years, I admit that I don't have the apprehension that our guests have when they come on the program. But I think you're going to enjoy it, and I think it's going to be a great experience for the people that watch the show and the viewers, because I think you have a lot to offer.
I appreciate that, and I'm going to be on with attorney Mike Rosenzweig, who is your resident motorcycle expert.
Michael is a resident expert, and in fact, I know that Michael just went through the safety school and all of the things that you have to do in order to drive a motorcycle. And I think it's going to be a great show. I look forward to watching it.
I think so too. And much like you, the reason you have that show, a lot of people thought it would be interesting. Just like I have this radio show, a lot of people think it's going to be interesting. So when Michael and I get together for No Fee TV, watch out. It's going to be a good show. All right, Attorney Edgar Snyder, I appreciate your time today, and we'll talk again pretty soon.
We'll look forward to seeing you and Michael Rosenzweig on the show, and just remember, look into the camera.
I will. I'll look directly in. All right, man. Thanks a lot, Attorney Edgar Snyder. You too. Have a good one.